about to start the film right now. Or we are. I think we're starting the film right now. So without further ado, Maggots and Men. Stunning, and I'm sure you all have tons of questions and comments and congratulations for the filmmakers, so I'll keep this brief. I just want to welcome you to this next section of the event, during which we'll hear from our featured speakers. And then I'm going to turn the stage over to Maggots and Men's filmmakers and cast and crew for a panel discussion and Q&A. The first of our featured speakers is Ann Nesbitt, who is the Associate Professor of Slavic Languages and Literatures and Film Studies at UC Berkeley. She's a musician as well as author of many fun and brilliant works of both literature and scholarship, including her children's book Cabinet of Earths and her book for older readers, Savage Junctures, Sergei Eisenstein, and The Shape of Thinking. So please join me in welcoming Ann to the stage right now.
Experience when you have the soundtrack. Yeah, that's actually a very different feeling. So I think I might have commented on different things, having seen it with everything going. But still, there's so much there. And for someone who loves Eisenstein as I do, what can you do? You swoon. So anyway, while watching this incredibly witty and very poignant film, my mind naturally turned to not just Eisenstein, and I'll get to Eisenstein in a moment, but to the Russian literary historian Vladimir Vasilyevich Stasov, specialist in early Russian epics, who in 1896 happened to be one of the first people in his country to see the work of the new import from France, the cinematograph. He wrote to his brother in some rapture, "What pleasure I was given on Monday by the moving photography of that magnificent new and brilliant discovery of Edison, how a whole railroad train suddenly flies out of the distance, at a slant across the picture, flies towards you and keeps getting bigger and really seems about to ride right over you this very second and crush you just as an anaconda. That's simply indescribable. And swimming! What could be more ordinary and prosaic? Naked bodies escape the sun in a crowd by taking to the water. What's interesting, important, beautiful about that? But that turns out to be all wrong. From all this ordinariness is created here something that is interesting and important and beautiful." Stasov, age 74, maybe that doesn't count, is amazed and delighted by the way the cinema could take even something as ordinary, boring, and prosaic as naked bodies swimming and make something beautiful of it. I couldn't help but think of that when watching the naked bodies swim in Maggots and Men, because in this swimming crowd we have something beautiful, important, and prosaic all at once, and the poignancy of the image has something to do about the edge between what is ordinary and extraordinary, an edge where cinema likes to set up shop. When those bodies go swimming, they're not just beautiful, they're beautiful in a maggoty sort of way. So I mean in an Eisensteinian maggoty sort of way, which is not totally as bad as it sounds, and I'd better explain that quickly. So now we can jump to Eisenstein, whose films are the dream material of Maggots and Men. The most overtly sexy sequence Eisenstein ever filmed was the orgasm of a machine, the spurting triumph of the cream separator in his 1929 agricultural film, The General Line, so I recommend that. But second place may go to the shot from Battleship Potemkin, quoted here several times, of the sailors in their hammocks, with their vulnerable yet muscled naked shoulders and backs and the constant threat that the whip is going to touch them. In Battleship Potemkin, the mutiny is triggered by an escalating chain of little excesses starting with too many maggots in the meat. Clearly the sailors don't want maggots in their meat, so one of the puzzles of the film, visually, is why the men in their hammocks echo not only the chaotic flotilla of little sailboats bringing fresh food to the rebels on the battleship, but also the very maggots that cause this trouble. The maggots remind us a little bit of men in their hammocks, both men and maggots being rather naked and vulnerable, both of them are in clustered groups, and so nice maggots, other than just because he liked paradoxical contrast, which he did like. So that's one reason. But for one thing, both maggots and sailors are creatures in the process of becoming. The maggots are not yet the glorious creatures they will be if you'll allow that flies are sort of glorious, which they are. And the men are not yet the organized revolutionary masses they will be. In a scribbled note about Battleship Potemkin, Eisenstein actually claims it's all about evolution, failed evolution. The sea creatures, sailors, fail to crawl up onto shore and evolve. So in that sense, the comparison to maggots is not entirely complimentary. But that's Eisenstein in the 20s.